This is where the flame of liberty burns bright. This is the Jason Veely Program.
Hello, folks. Jason Veely here. You're listening to the Jason Veely Program. Hope you had a great weekend. If you'd like to get in touch with me, here's how you do it. JasonVeelyRadio@gmail.com. That's JAYSONVELEY radio@gmail.com. You know, this Bashar al-Assad, this guy really is a monster. This guy really is a monster. Why do I say that? Because only a monster would have the moral, ethical ability to carry out a chemical attack on his own people. Not just men, but innocent women and children as well. Only a monster would be able to do something like that. I don't mean just have the physical means, the technological means of doing this. I mean as a matter of morals and ethics. Only a monster would be able to bring himself to do something like this. Bashar al-Assad is a monster. You can quote me on that one. I don't care. Now, of course, he's out there right now saying that, as he did before, the chemical attacks, it's not his responsibility. He had nothing to do with it. And so I guess everyone, the president, our intelligence community, we're all wrong. We're all misguided. We're all just stupid. We should believe this idiot, Assad, and go by what he says. Is that really what he expects to happen? Does he think we're that stupid? I'm not that stupid. I know exactly what went on. This guy, Assad, is behind it. He says he's not. I call complete BS. I don't believe that for a damn second, ladies and gentlemen, and let me tell you why. There's a couple of different reasons. First of all, Assad's regime is the only military force in the area that is capable of delivering such an attack. The victims, according to reports, were showing signs of exposure to high concentration chlorine agents. And not only is the Assad regime really the only regime that is capable of developing such a high concentration agent, but they're really the only ones who are capable of getting the technology to deliver such an attack. So they're the only ones that can make the chemical, really, in the area at least, and they're the only ones that have the means of delivering the attack. Here's the second reason why I believe Assad did this. Why I think that his claims that, oh, I didn't do it, it wasn't our fault, we had nothing to do with it. This is why I think it's BS. The area surrounding Doma, or is it Douma, I'm not quite sure, is completely controlled by the Assad regime. Completely controlled by the Assad regime. So my question, ladies and gentlemen, is if this wasn't Assad that carried out this chemical attack, if it was the rebels, as he always blames it on, how could these rebels possibly, number one, create such a weapon, and number two, get this weapon into position to carry out the attack? If the entire area is controlled by Assad's regime, how could they get into the area? I think, ladies and gentlemen, Bashar al-Assad, this monster, should be forced to answer these questions. And you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, just as he did last time, that he never proves himself. He never proves himself. President Trump brought up a great point today. He said that if it's true that Assad didn't carry out this attack, why is he blocking off the area to the outside world? Why not let the outside world in to examine what happened and, according to him, leave with the conclusion that, yeah, it wasn't Assad? You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because this guy is full of crap. That's why. That's why. Yeah, I have very, very little patience for monsters like this. For people who carry out horrific attacks using chemical agents on innocent women and children. This is the scum of the earth we're talking about. Very little patience for stuff like this. Absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. I can't even fathom how someone would have the moral capacity to do something like this. Dozens dead. Dozens dead. And we're supposed to believe that it wasn't him. Assad has every reason to carry out this attack, folks. He wants to flush out the last of the rebels that are hiding underground in the area. There's not many of them, but there are some left. Again, hiding underground. He wants to flush them out. It's really the last stronghold, so to speak, in Damascus. So Assad, yes, he has every reason to do this. And all signs point to the fact that he did do this. All signs point to the fact that he's a damn liar. That he's a liar. And I'm happy to see that our president seems to agree. He sent out a tweet, actually a series of tweets, in response to this attack. President Trump said on Twitter, quote, "Many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack in Syria. Area of atrocity is in lockdown and encircled by Syrian army, making it completely inaccessible to outside world. President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad." That's what he is! President Trump is right. Animal Assad. Trump went on. He said, "Big price to pay. Open area immediately for medical help and verification. Another humanitarian disaster for no reason whatsoever. Sick." That's President Trump. Then in another tweet, he blamed Obama. Trump said if President Obama had crossed his stated red line in the sand, the Syrian disaster would have ended long ago. Animal Assad would have been history. I think President Trump meant to say if President Obama hadn't crossed his stated red line. But you get the point. Of course Obama's to blame here. Of course he is. As are a number of people in his administration. That is Obama's administration. So there's President Trump, and I'm glad he's taking such a firm stance against this, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's times like these. It's times like these where I recall the words of the late Ronald Reagan. Peace through strength. Right? Peace through strength. What that essentially means is that when you are a country built on freedom, like America, you cannot really have true peace unless you stand up for yourself, unless you stand up toe-to-toe in the face of evil. That's what that means. It means that if you take the timid approach, if you take the passive approach, if you lay down into a fetal position and suck your thumb, that's when your enemies take advantage of you. That's when your enemies take advantage of you. Now, I know that this obviously wasn't an attack on America. I know that. And some of you might be saying, well, how does peace through strength apply here if it wasn't an attack on America? I'll get to that. But in addition to peace through strength, folks, you know what else I was thinking about after I was reading these reports, reading about the number of people that were killed and so on and so forth? You know what I got to thinking? I got to thinking that America has a unique duty to be the light of the world, doesn't it? I think it does. I've always thought that. Some people might disagree. That's just the way I've always seen things. America has the unique, not just responsibility, but duty to be the light of the world, to stand up for good, to stand in the face of evil. to stand in the face of these, as President Trump said, humanitarian, what do you say, crises, atrocities, whatever word he used. This is who we are. This is what our country does, what it has always done. I'm not saying we need to police the world. I'm saying that we have a duty to stand up for what's right. We need to act in the face of evil. We need to act in the face of evil. That's one of the things that comes with being such a successful, free society. That's, you know, I hate to quote a Marvel movie or a Marvel comic book here, folks, but the famous line from, you guys see Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. It applies here. It absolutely does. America, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think, again, our responsibility is and always has been to be a beacon of hope, to be a beacon of light. And so based on that, I think we need to act accordingly. But I want to play you some audio, folks, of President Trump earlier today addressing this chemical attack. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
It was an atrocious attack. It was horrible. You don't see things like that, as bad as the news is around the world. You just don't see those images. We are studying that situation extremely closely. We are meeting with our military and everybody else. And we'll be making some major decisions over the next 24 to 48 hours. We are very concerned when a thing like that can happen. This is about humanity. We're talking about humanity. And it can't be allowed to happen. So we'll be looking at that barbaric act and studying what's going on. We're trying to get people in there. As you know, it's been surrounded, so it's very hard to get people in because not only has it been hit, it's been surrounded. And
all right, let me stop him right there. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is an important point, and I want to put emphasis on it. Why is the area surrounded? Why are they blocking off the outside world? Obviously, they're hiding something. Obviously, they're hiding something. And it would seem to me, folks, that if Assad really was innocent, like he says he is, he wouldn't have anything to hide. As a matter of fact, he'd be trying to be as transparent as humanly possible right now. What are they hiding? Why is this blocked off to the outside world? Again, this is a question that Assad should be forced to answer to. And let me just say this. If this guy Assad claims that he's innocent, while the President of the United States is implying that he's guilty, many members of our intelligence community are implying that he's guilty, it should be on him. It should be his responsibility to prove that he is innocent. It's not enough to simply say, I had nothing to do with it, I'm innocent. Not enough. Not enough. You're so innocent, Assad, you monster? Well, prove it, for God's sakes. Prove it. That should be on you. That should be on you. Keep listening.
If they're innocent, why aren't they allowing people to go in and prove?
Amen.
As you know, they're claiming they didn't make the attack. So, if it's Russia, if it's Syria, if it's Iran, if it's all of them together, we'll figure it out, and we'll know the answers quite soon. So we're looking at that very, very strongly and very seriously.
So Trump says that he'll make some kind of a big decision within the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll cover it. We'll talk about it. You know, President, let me just preface this by saying that so far, when it comes to foreign policy, President Trump has been, in my opinion, fantastic. Other areas, look, the guy's not perfect. But when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to our military, and when it comes to keeping our people safe, when it comes to deploying our military, using our military might in the name of good, President Trump has been fantastic. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. And the reason why this is such a relief to so many of us, ladies and gentlemen, is because we just wrapped up 8 long, painful years of spinelessness under the Obama administration. Spinelessness. Not just when it came to Syria and this monster Bashar Assad, but spinelessness when it came to dealing with Hamas, when it came to dealing with Al-Qaeda, when it came to dealing with the Islamic State, and so on and so forth. That was the Obama era, spinelessness. Now we have President Trump in there, and he has made it abundantly clear that he wants to turn things around. He wants to turn things around. He wants to rebuild our military. He wants to reclaim America's position as the mightiest, strongest, most feared military on the face of the earth. That is, feared if you're a terrorist or, part of the Assad regime, for example. Obviously, if you've done nothing wrong, you don't have to fear the military. But that's what I think Trump's plan has been from the very beginning. That's what he set out to do. And he was talking about this out from long ago out on the campaign trail, wasn't he? Rebuilding America's military. Rebuilding America's military. Reclaiming America's position on the global stage. That's what it's all about. Proving to the rest of the world that we are to be feared again. Don't mess with us. Don't mess with us. We are a force for good. Because again, for 8 years, that hasn't been the case under Obama. I mean, he's gutting our military and so on and so forth. So, based on that, folks, I think that whatever decision President Trump makes in the next, 24 to 48 hours, I'm very, very confident that it will be the right decision. I can't always say that about Trump. I can't always go out there and say Trump's going to make the right decision, because sometimes he doesn't. But here, in this case, I think he's going to make the right decision. How do I know? Because he backs the military, because he believes in rebuilding America's might. He believes in America that shows her teeth to the rest of the world. He believes in an America that doesn't back down. He believes in an America that stands up for what is good and for what is right. He will make the right decision. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The Jason Veely program is on the air. Get used to it.
If you open your window, you might be able to hear him yelling all the way from his studio in Connecticut. This is the Jason Veely program.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Jason Veely here, but you already knew that. Breitbart News reporting on this, a little bit more about the chemical attack. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said at least 80 people were killed in Douma, or is it Douma? Who cares? On Saturday, including around 40 who died from suffocation. Opposition-linked first responders, known as the White Helmets, also reported the attack, saying entire families were found suffocated in their homes and shelters. Just, folks, again, I can't even imagine. I can't even understand it. I struggle to understand these things. It reported a death toll from suffocation of more than 40. The Syrian American Medical Society, a relief organization, said 41 people were killed and hundreds wounded. So this isn't just some kind of small, isolated attack, folks. This is a large-scale attack. And as I said before the break, I do believe that Assad is responsible. Contrary to what he says, he can say, I didn't do it 50,000 times if he wants to. Won't change a damn thing for me. But there you go, folks. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible. By the way, you remember in 2013 when all the Democrats were praising Barack Obama for depleting Assad's stockpile of chemical weapons? You remember that? All of them, including Obama. All the liberals on the news and on different television programs and for their websites and so on and so forth. All of them. Oh, Obama depleted the chemical weapons stockpile in Syria. This is a win for Obama. The Washington Free Beacon put together a little montage from back in 2013 of liberals praising Obama for apparently getting rid of Syria's chemical stockpile. Listen to this from the Washington Free Beacon.
Do you think ultimately that President Obama is the big winner here?
He is a big winner in my estimation.
It turns out we're getting chemical weapons out of Syria without having initiated a strike. So what else are you talking about?
We've got the chemical weapons. We're getting the chemical weapons out of Syria.
Well, Chris, all you have to do is look at the fact that today, the final 8% of chemical weapons were taken out of Syria.
We should commend the administration for the result that they got. The removal of chemical weapons out of Syria is a substantial accomplishment.
We certainly worked with them in Syria to bring all the chemical weapons out of Syria.
We struck a deal where we got 100% of the chemical weapons out. 100% of the declared chemical weapons out of Syria.
We kept chemical weapons or got chemical weapons out of the area.
We got, as you know, last year, all the chemical weapons out of Syria. No small feat.
Syria eliminating its chemical weapons and ultimately having them destroyed by the international community.
Syria would still have a declared chemical weapons stockpile. Right now, they don't. Right now, Bashar al-Assad does not have a declared chemical weapons stockpile. We removed that declared chemical weapons stockpile, and we destroyed that declared chemical weapons stockpile, which means that Bashar al-Assad can't use those chemical weapons against his own people.
And the purpose of the strike was to get the chemical weapons out of Syria. Weapons of mass destruction are taken out of the zone of conflict. And thank God we did that. We are making real progress in Iraq and Syria. And I mean real progress. If Russia can help us, and it is right now, Russia has helped bring about the Iran nuclear agreement. Russia helped get the chemical weapons out of Syria.
The destruction of the Syrian chemical weapons stockpile.
I would have, I think, made a bigger mistake if I had said, yeah, chemical weapons, that doesn't really change my calculus.
Well, I guess you pat yourself on the back a little too early there, huh, Barry? Barry Obama? Yeah, he did. I mean, all of them. I mean, they blame Sinclair, that broadcasting group, for saying the same thing over and over and over again, having their anchors repeat the same line. The Democrats do the same thing. Obama depleted their chemical weapons stockpile. Praise Obama. Praise Obama. All of them. All of them, like a bunch of parrots, mimicking each other. So I just wanted to play that for you. Now, folks, let me just say this. To all the cockroaches out there, whether it's in Iran, whether it's in Russia, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in some other part of the Middle East, let me just say this. Barack Obama is no longer our president. Barack Obama was an embarrassment. That's right. Barack Obama was an embarrassment. He led with timidity. He led with passiveness. He essentially led, if you even want to call it leading, by crawling into a fetal position and sucking his damn thumb. That was the former commander-in-chief. We don't have him anymore, you cockroaches out there. Again, I'm talking to you. We have a new guy, new face, new policies, new outlook on the world. We're not going to take this crap anymore. America is back. America is back. We're going to stand up for what's right. We're going to show our teeth. We're not going to be pushed around anymore. We're going to stare evil in the eye and say, back up. Back up. That's right. America's back, you cockroaches out there. And so you better watch out. I'll be right back. I also want to congratulate Israel for conducting a missile strike early this morning, as a matter of fact, on an airbase in central Syria in response to this chemical attack. I want to commend them. Great job. This is from AmericanNewsCentral.com. A missile strike on an airbase in central Syria was carried out by Israeli warplanes in the early morning and in the early hours of Monday morning, causing multiple casualties, according to the Syrian and Russian governments, amid fears of a wider confrontation between world powers. So in essence, folks, Israel bombed the hell out of them this morning, and I hope President Trump takes inspiration from Israel. I think he will. I hope he does. So again, I want to applaud Israel for taking such a firm stance in the face of evil. All right, let me get away from this topic to address something else that needs to be addressed. Facebook is now coming after Diamond and Silk. You guys all know Diamond and Silk. I'm a huge fan, by the way. I think they're fantastic. I think they're hilarious. I think they're insightful. They're thought-provoking. They just put out great content. And they're being targeted now by Facebook. Here's what's going on. In case you haven't heard, here's what's going on. For the past 7 months now, they have noticed that fans on their Facebook page weren't getting notifications. You know how if you follow a certain page, then you'll get a notification when they post something new? They weren't getting notifications. Their fans, and Facebook was also limiting their reach. So in other words, they were suppressing them. And this had been going on for, again, almost 7 months, and Facebook just got back to Diamond and Silk. And you know what Facebook said, ladies and gentlemen? They said that Diamond and Silk are, quote, unsafe to the community. Unsafe to the Facebook community. Now, of course, just like YouTube and just like Twitter, Facebook didn't really provide any details, but they did say it was permanent and there would be no appeal process. No. Facebook said, look, this is permanent. We're not going to tell you why you're unsafe or how you're unsafe or what you said that was unsafe to the community. But you're just unsafe to the community. And we're all supposed to go, okay, Facebook, got it. We're all just supposed to roll over and accept this. Not me. Not me. This is bull, ladies and gentlemen. This is bull. It's not only Diamond and Silk. This is becoming a pattern now. And the more it happens, the more ticked off I get. Anyway, I'm going to let Diamond and Silk speak for themselves. I wish they were on the program with me right now, but they're not. So instead, I'll play some audio from Fox and Friends This Morning, where they explained themselves. They said what's going on. Take a listen. This is from This Morning, Fox News.
Diamond and Silk claim Facebook told them, quote, the policy team has come to the conclusion that your content and your brand has been determined unsafe to the community.
All right, this morning Facebook tells Fox News they are reaching out to resolve this matter. So have they heard anything yet? Diamond and Silk, have you heard anything yet?
We've heard nothing from Facebook. They've been very silent on this issue. That's right.
How are you unsafe to the community?
You know, I don't know what they're talking about.
All right, let me stop right there. You know, folks, if an organization, a company like Facebook is going to go around censoring people, suppressing their content, at the very least, they should have the courtesy to inform people like Diamond and Silk what the hell they did wrong. That's one of the most infuriating things about this whole thing. That you know, we have like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube banning people, censoring people. And none of us know what the hell we did wrong. It's unbelievable. My video that I put out on YouTube on David Hogg got taken down. I don't even know what the hell I did. Diamond and Silk, they don't even know what the hell they did. It's unbelievable. Keep listening.
Offensive, appalling that they will deem us, two black women, two black chicks down with politics, as being unsafe. We're not.
That's right. You know what, folks? I think Facebook is racist. That's right. I'm using the liberal language against them. I think Facebook is racist. What do you think of that? And you know what? Not only racist, I think they're sexist. How about that? How about that? Am I allowed to say that? Keep listening.
Society, we're not hoodlums. We don't sell drugs. We don't lay out in the streets. That's right. And so I don't know where Facebook is coming from. I think this is a deprivation of our character. This is clearly discrimination. Mm-hmm. And this is also a violation of our civil rights, is what I'm looking at here. That's right.
Why don't they want you to be heard?
I have no earthly idea. So this is...
I have an idea. They don't want us to be heard because basically an election is coming up. President Trump won this election by the people, we the people, through social media. And whenever they found out that's how he won it, that's why they're shutting down conservative voices, people that is pro-Trump.
Folks, I think, again, I don't mean to interrupt them, but I just want to throw in my 2 cents here, too. I think something else is going on. First of all, I think what you said is right. It really is, in many cases, as simple as they don't want conservative content out there because they want to help the Democrats. I do think that it is that simple in many cases. In this case, first of all, let me just say that I don't buy the whole, unsafe to the community excuse. I don't buy that for 1 second. I think that's a line that Facebook picked out of a whole a list of excuses that they probably have behind the scenes whenever they censor a page. Oh, let's see, which one do we want to pick today? Oh, let's say that they're unsafe to the community. How about we go with that one? We haven't used that one in a while. I don't buy that for 1 second. You know what I think's going on here, folks? In the case of Diamond and Silk, you know why I think they were targeted by leftist Facebook? Because they're two independent, black, conservative women. That's why. That's why. And if that doesn't fly in the face of the liberal narrative, then what the hell does? Honestly. Two intelligent, articulate, black, conservative women, and successful women at that. The liberals can't have that. They can't have that because, again, folks, you have to remember, they're supposed to be the party that combats racism. They're supposed to stand up for the black people, and the black people are all supposed to flock to the Democrat Party because of that. Diamond and Silk do not fit the liberal narrative. what they say does not fit the liberal narrative of what the liberals think, and this is actually quite racist if you ask me, what they think black people should believe in this country. It doesn't fit their narrative. And so Facebook, being, yes, the liberal left-wing organization, company, whatever you want to call it, that it is, they targeted Diamond and Silk. That's what I think is going on here. Keep listening.
Is it that somebody can go onto Facebook, post derogatory pictures of our president with his head being cut off and so forth? They let that stay there. But then you got two black chicks who's down with politics standing there just talking up our president, the American people, being behind everything in his agenda, and they want to shut us down. Well, that's not going to work with Diamond and Silk.
I don't get when Facebook became, I understand Facebook is, these are private companies and social media outfits. They can decide who does and does not get access. But still, don't you want everybody to have a voice? Why would they cut out y'all?
Everybody is supposed to have a voice on these platforms. And let me just make this here clear. Facebook is really not a private entity because now they can trade through the stock market. So that means they're open to the public. But I believe that this is very dangerous for Facebook to try to be the world's police. They're not the world police. They don't get to dictate who say what and who don't say what. This is dangerous. And it's time for Congress. It's time for our Justice Department. People need to step in and take a look at this here. This whole thing is dangerous.
And it goes on. But that's the part that I wanted to play for you. They're right. It is dangerous. It's dangerous to any free society. Why? Because this isn't freedom, folks. This is a step closer to tyranny. This is a step closer to an authoritative state. Now, they made a good point there. And this is something that I've said before. And I'll say it again. I think it's time that the government steps in. This is one of the only times you'll hear me say those words, by the way. It's time for the government to step in. You'll never hear me say that. Except when it comes to defending our liberty. Because that's one of the functions of government, defending our liberty. And so when you have these companies like Facebook who are infringing on the First Amendment, infringing on our freedom of speech, yes, action needs to be taken. Legislative action needs to be taken. This is getting out of hand. Out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. It would be different if the content that they were censoring really was extreme, really was, graphic or extremely violent or something like that. That would be different. But the content that they are censoring now, the content that they're calling unsafe to the community, isn't unsafe at all, isn't graphic, isn't violent, isn't any of that. It's conservative, and that's their problem. That's their problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's their problem. Don't go anywhere. Stick with me. I'll be right back. All right, folks, few minutes left. Let me use those minutes to address this jackass. Jimmy Kimmel. In case you haven't heard what's going on between him and Sean Hannity, folks, they got into a rather aggressive feud on Twitter. I believe this was a few days ago. Over a so-called joke, which wasn't really a joke, that Jimmy Kimmel made on his show about Melania Trump's accent. Sean Hannity thought it was disgusting. He thought it was a racist joke, and he let him have it on Twitter. And you know what? I applaud Sean Hannity for doing that. Because it was. This wasn't a joke. You see these late night guys, they think they can get away with whatever the hell they want. They don't realize that they come across as just a-holes, as complete jerks most of the time. And so I read a lot of this back and forth on Twitter between Hannity and Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel was saying some grotesque things. I mean, just disturbing beyond, you're stupid, Sean Hannity. It was, I can't even say it on radio. It was homophobic. I'll just leave it at that. And so now Jimmy Kimmel's out there and he's trying to backtrack and offer an apology for his part in the feud. He says, while I admit I did have fun with our back and forth, after some thought, I realized that the level of vitriol from all sides, mine and me included, does nothing good for anyone and, in fact, is harmful to our country. Oh, I'm biting my tongue, folks. I really am. Even in 2018, he writes, the vile attacks against my wife and wishes for death on my infant son are shocking, and I encourage those who made them to give their words and actions thought. I, too, will give my words more thought and recognize my role in inciting their hatefulness. By lampooning Sean Hannity's deference to the president, I most certainly did not intend to belittle or upset members of the gay community, and to those who took offense, I apologize. I will take Sean Hannity at his word that he was genuinely offended by what I believed, and still believe to be a harmless and silly aside, referencing our First Lady's accent. Mrs. Trump almost certainly has enough to worry about without being used as a prop to increase TV ratings. I am hopeful that Sean Hannity will learn from this too, and continue his newly found advocacy for women, immigrants, and first ladies, and that he will triumph in his heroic battle against sexual harassment and perversion. Jimmy Kimmel. And that was his rather a poor excuse for an apology. Look, folks, here's the truth about Jimmy Kimmel. This guy's a loser. He really is. He's a complete loser. And I've dealt with people like him for most of my life. People just like him. I know exactly the type of person he is. He's the type of person who thinks he's funny, thinks he's being cute and comical, but he's an ass. That's what he is. And this is why, folks, I can't stand these late night television hosts. They are all just complete jerks. Newsflash, it is possible to make people laugh without being an idiot. Without being insulting. Who's the other guy? Bill Maher. Haven't heard much about him lately, but he's another one. Just a complete, detestable, pathetic loser. And so Jimmy Kimmel's out there, he's apologizing now. Didn't explicitly apologize to Melania Trump. I don't know if he will, but he's apologizing for getting into this fight with Sean Hannity. I don't know, folks. Do you think we should just say, you know what, Jimmy Kimmel, you're right. We forgive you? I don't know. If this was the only time he had done something like this, it might be forgivable. But I really don't think so. At least right now. The guy's an idiot. The guy's an absolute idiot. Can't stand him. All right, folks. I'll be back tomorrow. God bless. And God save this great nation.